You've been coding for years, you ship features, your pull requests are solid, and yet you're not sure what senior actually means. Or if you're even close, career ladders in tech can feel like a fog. Titles change across companies, expectations blur, and the loudest advice often boils down to code more or be more visible. That's not a map, it's noise. What we're covering today is a different kind of map, one built on patterns I've observed and lived, from junior to staff and beyond. Not a checklist, more like a mental model you can return to when the path feels unclear. I'll walk through 4 distinct phases. Each one shifts how you think, not just what you do. We'll start with the early days, then move into mid-level, senior, and what lies beyond. Nothing here is absolute. Your journey will have its own texture. Take what fits. The junior phase, learning to learn. The junior years are less about writing perfect code and more about learning how to learn. That's the quiet superpower nobody talks about. You'll ship bugs, you'll misinterpret requirements, and that's not failure. It's data. One practice that made a difference for me was keeping a small learning log. After any tricky moment, a confusing review, a production hiccup, I'd write 2 lines, what surprised me and what I'd do differently next time. Not a blog, not a performance, just a private note. Over months, that log became my own personal handbook. The real growth wasn't in any single entry. It was in the act of pausing, reflecting, and giving myself permission to be incomplete. As a junior, your currency is questions. Ask them calmly, even the ones that feel obvious. A simple, can you help me understand why we chose this pattern? Does 2 things. It shows respect for the team's history, and it invites a clarification that often benefits everyone. You don't need to pretend you already know. Nobody expects you to. The actionable shift here, measure your progress by how well you learn, not by how fast you close tickets. Speed masks understanding, and understanding is the foundation everything else stands on. Mid-level, from task taker to problem solver. At some point, you stop being handed well-defined tasks and start being asked to figure things out. That's the mid-level threshold. The work becomes less about build this button and more about we need a way for users to recover lost data. What should that look like? Your first instinct might still be to grab the tech spec and start coding, but the real value you can offer is upstream. Here's a small, repeatable move. Before writing a single line, type out a 1-sentence problem statement. No jargon. Something like, a user who accidentally deletes a report needs a way to get it back within 24 hours. Then show it to someone, a designer, a stakeholder, even a junior colleague. That sentence anchors everything. It prevents you from building the wrong thing elegantly. This phase is also where you start owning your decisions. You'll make trade-offs that carry risk. What changes is how you handle that. Instead of hiding uncertainty, you learn to surface it plainly. This approach gets us a working prototype fast, but we'll need to revisit the data model before launch. That kind of transparency earns trust. It's the quiet signal that you're thinking beyond the code. If you take one thing from this stage, let it be this. Learn to love clarifying the problem before you touch the keyboard. The hard part isn't the syntax, it's the clarity. Your code will thank you. Your future teammates will thank you, and you'll start to be seen not just as someone who writes code, but as someone who solves problems. Senior, influence without authority. The title senior doesn't come with a ceremony. You often realize you've crossed into it when your work is less about building and more about enabling others. That can feel disorienting. You might code less, you might spend more time in conversations, reviews, and documents, and that's exactly the shift. The core skill at this level is influence without authority. You don't need to be the team lead. You do need to help the team make better decisions. One of the most calm, effective tools I've seen is a well-written request for comments, an RFC or tech design doc, not a 20-page manifesto. A short, clear document that says, this is the problem. Here are 2 possible paths, and here's what I lean towards and why. Then you invite comment. No ego, no ultimatums. This practice does something subtle. It turns disagreement into a structured conversation. Instead of a heated Slack thread, people can read, think, and respond at their own pace. The quality of decisions rises, and you, as the author, practice distilling complexity into something others can grasp without needing to be in your head. Another quiet move. Code reviews that read like mentorship. Instead of, change this to X, try, I see what you're doing here. Have you considered Y? It avoids a race condition we hit last month. That small shift teaches. It shares context, and it treats the author as a colleague you're helping to grow, not a student you're correcting. Being senior isn't knowing everything. It's creating an environment where good ideas can surface from anyone. The map at this stage is about widening your impact from my code to our system and our team. Beyond senior, Tay. Force multiplier. If senior is about the team, the roles beyond, staff, principal, architect, are about the organization. The job becomes a force multiplier. You work on systems that span multiple teams. You're not just writing code. You're shaping the engineering culture and the technical strategy that will last years. This can feel abstract. It helps to ground it in a concrete shift. The problems you solve are no longer about how do we build this feature, but how do we make it safe for 10 teams to build 10 features in parallel without breaking each other's work? Your daily tools become things like architectural decision records, onboarding guides, and one-on-one coaching sessions with leads. The leverage is enormous, but the feedback loops are slow. One practice I've found valuable at this level is to become a student of the business. Understand the unit economics. Learn how the company makes money, not because you're becoming a product manager, but because technical decisions have to balance purity with pragmatism. When you can link a proposed architecture to a concrete business outcome, this will let us enter 2 new markets without rebuilding the payment layer. Your voice becomes remarkably clear to non-technical stakeholders. You also become a steward of simplicity. As complexity grows, the instinct is to add. A principal's quiet, calm work is often to subtract, to remove unused services, to deprecate old patterns, to say, we don't need a microservice for that yet. This is not glamorous, but it's some of the most valuable work you'll ever do. So if you're aiming for these levels, don't just optimize for promotion. Optimize for long-term impact. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do this quarter that will make the entire engineering org move a little faster, a little safer, 6 months from now? Then do that quietly. If there's one thing I hope you take from this map, it's that a developer career isn't a ladder you climb by accumulating frameworks and tools. It's a series of shifts in how you think. You go from learning to learn, to solving ambiguous problems, to enabling teams, to multiplying the effectiveness of entire organizations. The hardest step is often the one where you feel invisible. You're doing deeper thinking. You're writing more, talking more, mentoring more, and the output isn't a feature you can point at. It's okay if that feels strange. Give yourself time. One actionable takeaway. Pick one small habit from whichever phase resonates with you right now. If you're early, start that learning log. If you're mid, write a problem statement before you code. If you're senior, try a short design doc. And if you're aiming beyond, schedule one conversation with someone from the business side just to listen. Small, calm shifts, no rush. If this gave you a moment of clarity, consider subscribing. The channel is about building in peace, and new videos come out when the ideas feel ready. Thanks for watching.